everyone, my name is Alejandra GARCIA. I'm a transfer student from Cypress College. I transferred to Cal State Fullerton in the fall of 2017, and I'm actually a recent graduate from Cal State Fullerton. I majored in biology and did a minor in chemistry, and today I wanted to share with you all a little bit about my research journey and how I even got into research. So my journey started at Cypress College, and while I was there, I actually was a pre-med student. And so what that means is that I wanted to go into medical school and one day become a doctor. And so I was already kind of doing things towards that journey. I was volunteering at a hospital as well as volunteering at a clinic, and I was looking to the MCAT and what medical school I wanted to end up attending. And so I kind of had already started in that journey and kind of had my mindset that I wanted to go that route. And so looking at the requirements, I did see that some students do have research under the belt. Some medical students do have research under the belt, but it was kind of like maybe like a semester or two. And so I figured that was something that I was going to do. Once I transferred, I would just get into a lab if I could and maybe do a semester. And I hadn't really thought about it. I had no idea what research was. I didn't really know anybody who had done research, and so I was just kind of like, well, if it happens, it happens. And so one day the program director of the STEM to Cypress program, she called me and she told me that there was this great opportunity that Project Race was hosting at Cal State Fullerton, which was to do summer as to do research during the summer as an undergrad, and it was a paid program, a paid experience. And so she wanted me to apply, and I told her, okay, I guess, right? If the director's calling you, then you might as well do it. You can't really say no. So I ended up doing it. The deadline for the application was in 2 weeks, so I got all my stuff together. I got my letters of rec in 2 weeks. I got my personal statement, my resume, everything done. And so I was kind of a little worried, but I did it. And so luckily I actually got accepted to be part of the program for the 2017 cohort. And so that was pretty amazing. And so coming in, I'm not gonna lie, I was super scared. Like I said, I had no idea what research was. Also, being from a community college, you know, I felt like maybe I didn't know as much as the other students that were at the university already. I felt like an imposter just going in. So, you know, I was like, okay, hopefully, you know, I don't mess up or anything like that. And then at the same time, my idea of research was that we're probably going to be just kind of shadowing a grad student, that we're going to be like kind of helping them on their project. And once in a while, maybe they'll let us do something, but a lot of the time we're just going to be watching them and pretty much maybe cleaning a lot after them and, you know, doing the dishes and stuff like that. That's what I thought we were going to do during that summer. So luckily for me, I guess, that didn't happen at all. That was not what research was. The lab that I was placed in was a biochemistry lab. My PI, or the professor, PI stands for primary investigator, they're the head person of the lab, and they already knew that I was coming in with, they already knew what classes I was coming in and what level I had already gone up to. And so they knew that they had to be a little bit more patient with me, and they were going to have to teach me a little bit more about things and explain to me maybe a couple times, you know, how everything was going and how things worked. And so and about the project that I had to do for the research, she actually gave me my own project that I had to do, and the project was to purify this protein called alpha-2 microglobulin from human and pig blood, so we can compare the protein between the both species, as well as for human understand how copper was being placed into this protein, and so what atoms were in charge of interacting with the copper. And so what that meant, having my own project, was that I pretty much had just myself to rely on and my PI. And also, like, if I had to troubleshoot I kind of have to think things through a lot because sometimes the professor might not be at that moment in the lab, and if there's something going on, I kind of have to think about how I can solve this before I can go to her. And so you know, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but at the same time it kind of solidified a lot of the concepts that I was learning in biology about how protein structure and all that stuff. And as well as when I got into biochemistry, it made that class so much easier because a lot of the things that the professor was talking about, I had already seen them, and so that kind of made it so much more ingrained into my head, and understanding things and learning about them, because I was able to place theory with actual doing it and seeing how it actually does work. So that was pretty cool. And so I ended up transferring to Cal State Fullerton. So I asked my PI if I could stay in her lab, and she said yes. So I ended up being in her lab for a little bit over 3 years. And so what came from it was that, you know, I completely switched around my idea of what I wanted to do. I scratched the idea that I wanted to go into medical school, and found my true passion to be research, because I love the idea of trying to figure out an answer and eventually getting there. And of course it's not going to be straight to that answer. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster and just everywhere, but along the way you also have so many more questions that come up, and I really love that. I really love the idea that yes, you might answer one, but along the way you're gonna probably get like 5 or 10 more questions, and seeing how, you know, how things work and why they don't work. And it's a lot of like why they don't work, but a lot of why things don't go as planned gives you a lot more insight as to when they finally do. So that really, to me, was my true passion. And so I ended up deciding that I wanted to go into grad school, and eventually become a researcher. And so I joined this program at Cal State Fullerton called the LSAT program that was designed to help low-income, underrepresented students as myself go to grad school and help them along the way. And so what the program did for me, they were funding me to do research. So not only doing research just because you have to, but now you're getting paid to. That was even better, you know. They also funded for me to go to conferences and present my research. The first conference that I went to was at San Francisco, and then from there I went to one in Orlando, experimental biology, and where I got so much feedback from my research, because at that point I was finding so many different things between the pig and the human that the researchers were like, wow, that's amazing, because we always thought that the proteins between the human and the pig weren't that different, since we're very similar genetically. And so they were very eager to see what was going to happen with my research. And then the last conference that I attended to was the SACNAS conference at Honolulu, Hawaii last year. And not only getting to be paid, you know, a free trip to go to these amazing places, but also having that feedback from, you know, professors who are doing research at, you know, prestigious colleges, and them telling you like, you know, your research sounds pretty cool, and I can't believe you're an undergrad and already doing this kind of research. That's amazing. You know, keep it up. That kind of really solidified that I really wanted to go into this field, and just kind of like find those questions, those answers to those unanswered questions one day. And so yeah, so thank you for listening.